Hey, what's up everybody? I know I told you that I would come out with the build that I was using on Torment 1, Torment 6 video that I made just recently, and here it is. So, let's get right to the skills. Now, before we get to the skills, let me just say that this is for just fun and farming on Torment 1. This is by no means any other build besides that. This is the way I kind of like making characters. Torment 6, just too involved with redoing everything. It's just not very fun. So this is what I am making. This is a work in progress, so this is where I'm at right now. Of course, I'll be making more videos as time goes on. So, when I primarily have Electrocute with Forked Lightning, that's for the just overall damage. It releases 4 charge bolts on critical hits that deal 44% weapon damage, so that's just for added damage during that Electrocute chain lightning phase. For Force, I have a Hydra with a Lightning Hydra. Really, the main reason why I use this is because of the instantaneous attacks that it has, and then also the range that it has with those attacks. There's no travel time like with some of the fireballs, anything like that. I could use a Mammoth Hydra, but my attack speed is so high, this actually works pretty damn well. This is for picking off those enemies that are stragglers outside of what gets hit by Electrocute. Conjuration, I have Storm Armor. This is for added damage, of course. Since my Hydra is going to be spitting stuff, I'm going to have stuff falling from the sky, and then my Electrocute is going to be throwing crap all over. So I picked Shocking Aspect. Critical hits have a chance to electrocute a nearby enemy for almost 3 times the damage of the initial hit. So this will pick off enemies pretty quickly. I have Familiar just for mainly the damage increase, 10% damage increase, and also the fire ball that it shoots does a decent amount of damage, 240. Magic Weapon with Electrify. Now this ties in with Electrocute Forked Lightning. Attacks have a chance to cause lightning to arc to 3 enemies, dealing 61% weapon damage with lightning. So as you can see, with those two combined, there's a lot of damage getting thrown out when I use Electrocute, and also some of these other skills. But also I get a 10% damage increase on that. And then finally, Black Hole Supermassive. The reason why I use Supermassive is because it has a 20-yard range. So it has increased size, and mainly I use it on elite mobs. Just to suck them up and then use Electrocute. They'll burn down in about a second or two. And then passive skills. With all these skills, this is mainly directed at all the easy mobs. I could change things up for the elites, but that would only allow me to kill elites faster. And since they aren't a huge part of the game, or just a smaller percentage than just the regular mobs, this will farm faster overall. Passives, I have Elemental Exposure. Really, I'm only stacking Lightning and Fire, so that'll give me about a 10% increase. Glass Cannon for 15% overall damage. Since this is Tier 1, don't really matter about the armor and resistances, just as long as I'm not standing and stuff. I have Audacity. I deal an extra 15% additional damage to enemies within 15 yards. That's just so when things get close, I will burn them down faster. And then finally, since I am using Forked Lightning, I'm using Conflagration, which will increase my critical hit chance by 6% when I'm using it. So that goes for everything too, so that helps with overall damage. It won't show up on the sheet DPS. And as you can see, buffed, I have, well, last I told you is 2.5. I actually found a piece. It got me up to 2.685, almost 2.7 million sheet damage. And that's how much I could do per second. But with everything tied in, it's probably over 3 million. Toughness very low, 5.6, and recovery 306. For the gear, I have Thunder Fury in my main hand. The Ancient too. I found this in a video, but I didn't know that it was an Ancient. After the video was done recording, I checked it out. I was like, hey, cool. So I'm using this very good weapon for this build because it procs a lot. So you'll see this going off. My offhand ties in with my Electrocute with Mycon's Ball of Hate. Electrocute can chain. It can hit enemies twice instead of once. So that's very helpful when there's smaller groups of enemies. And then I have the Velvet Camarel for my helmet, and it doubles the number of enemies my Electrocute jumps to. So that doubles how many people get hit by Electrocute itself. So those two go hand in hand, good synergy. And then everything else, really nothing special. I have the Witching Hour for a belt for the attack speed and critical hit damage. Pretty much all my gear or all the gear that can have attack speed increase, critical hit chance, and damage has been increased. Really, oh, and also I'm using Talrosh's chest, which increases attack speed even more. And then Vire's Swagger Stance, just because they're ancient for the stats. But I am using the gem of Efficacious Toxin. So I could switch this out for attack speed, but I decided to go with this because of the damage increase it gives now that's at rank 25. Along with the poison damage, that's 325 damage a second. I am probably going to use 2 more legendaries once I get the chance, but I don't want it affecting too much of my build, so that'll have to wait. That'll be in later videos. Also, I have Steady Strikers. They increase your attack speed. So I went with those. Typically, RoS do not do that, so I went with these just for that extra little bit. So my attack speed increases at 45%. I could, thinking of it, probably get that up over 50 easily. With a little bit of canes. I could go with canes 2-piece and get that up over 50. Right now it's actually pretty good. As you can see, my electrocute is very, very fast. Critical hit chance 54, 60 with the fire damage. And then critical hit damage 508%. My area damage was actually up over 100. I was wanting, hopefully I could get it up to over 100. It's at 89% right now. So that means that when this does proc, say if it does proc on some of the harder hitting things, it'll hit everybody within 10 yards. And then on top of that, chain lightning. You know, you can see how everything ties together and does a whole bunch of damage. But my defense, pretty much shit, as you can see. And my life, very low. There will be times where I will lose life here on Torment 1. That's because everything is geared so much towards damage. And then, really, no resources used. All I'm using is Hydra and Black Hole. That doesn't take up anything, so I do not have to ever worry about that. So let's get right to a Rift. Now, remember, this is Tier 1, so shit dies very fast. But we will go over that here in a second. Now, the way I play is I just put down a Hydra and then zap things. Usually it only takes about 1 zap. Things die. So that was 1 zap there. And a very automated way to farm. Since you have the Hydra that's killing things, and then you have chain lightning, which you click on one enemy, of course it's going to bounce all over the place, kill everything. Now, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on, really. But everything tied together will hit everything so much so quickly that it dies. And then if it doesn't die, that gem of Efficacious Toxin will slowly kill them over a certain amount of time. So this is the way I like playing, really. It's just making my tune the way I want it without having to worry about things like healing, defense, because then you spend a lot of time just trying to screw around with that and spend all kinds of mats and gold on things that don't really matter, except for that just bragging rights. That's about it. Because all they do on Torment is just increase the damage and defense and life of the enemies. And that's it. That's not a challenge. That's just making stats better, and that's about it. That's what I'm supposed to do. So, I don't know. I have my own opinions on it. If you want to watch my other video about T1T6, I go more in depth about that. But this is a great farming build. Now, the thing about it is a lot of people think that, oh, well, you get more on this, more on that. No, not really. I've gone for playing Torment 1 and Torment 6. I've gone for over an hour without finding a single legendary. Then the next rift I do, I'll find 5 legendaries in 5 minutes. It's just weird with the random number generator that they use. I'm not exactly sure how. I think it's more complex than what they lead us to believe. Like, there will be dry spells and there will be huge amounts of stuff, and then if you do have a dry spell, then they have a timer that allows you to get a legendary, which they implemented maybe a couple patches ago. But this is what I use to try to make new builds and, try new gear, find new things. And with Torment 6, the problem is that I would be using the same thing over and over again. That's just fucking boring. So, no thanks. Oh, I missed that guy because he fucking teleported. Anyway, So that's pretty much the build. Like I said, I'll be updating this with the more gear that I get. And hopefully you guys will keep up. If you like this or any of my other videos, make sure to like and or subscribe to Dread's Escape. And I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot for watching.